The boardwalk in Atlantic City, a rainy place this weekend, a great time to cast out some fish nets and take advantage of the early summer harvest off the shores of New Jersey. Or maybe even a better time to slip into something more comfortable and stay inside for hard-punching boxing action. Let's get ready to see Derrick Jefferson, one of the hardest swingers in the heavyweight division, maybe one of its hardest hitters too, against the solid Oleg Maskaev, who's come a long way from Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan to live in Staten Island and make himself into a heavyweight contender. Larry Merchant in January at Radio City Music Hall, in a spectacular effort, Derrick Jefferson beat the living hell out of David Izon for 8 rounds and then punched himself out and, in effect, knocked himself out by doing so. He says he's changing as a fighter. Is that an easy problem to solve?
Well, theoretically, he can learn to pace himself a little. But there's a catch-22 to that. How effective will he be if he slows himself down? All of which reminds me of something that Muhammad Ali whispered to me on the plane going to Zaire for his epic battle with George Foreman. If he doesn't get me in 7, his parachute won't open. Ali had intuited that a big man cannot sustain a hard-punching, consistent and persistent kind of brawling style. And sure enough, George hit the wall in around the 7th round, and Ali finished him in the 8th. It took George Foreman, Jim, years to be able to modify that style. Jefferson has had months.
Which gives you a good idea of why Maskaev and his people thought that Jefferson might be a good matchup for him, because, of course, in his last big win back last November here in Atlantic City, Manny, Maskaev reeled in a tiring Hasim Rahman in the late rounds and knocked him out. Surely he thinks he might be able to do the same thing with Jefferson. Is Maskaev, the way he's worked, the tortoise who might pass all the hares in the heavyweight division?
Yes, the way you would have to describe Maskaev is consistent and solid. Jefferson is explosive, exciting, but the first moment that he slows down, makes some mistakes, relaxes for one moment, Maskaev will probably come through with that right hand. So it's a fight that, even though Jefferson may be winning early, it's going to be always that tension and excitement there, because you don't know when Maskaev may come through, because he's always going to be trying to get that 1-2, 1-2. And you may beat him in the beginning, but you have to stay alert all night long with him.
All right, let's take a look at the tail of the tape now for Oleg Maskaev against Derrick Jefferson. Jefferson, a real latecomer to the sport. Didn't take up boxing till he was 27 years old. He's a year older than Maskaev. And you see the height differential between the two, the reach difference between the two. Let me correct that. He didn't turn pro until he was 27. Jefferson did have an amateur career. And Jefferson comes in at 235, several pounds under his weight for the battles in Madison Square, in Radio City Music Hall against Izon, and here last year against Maurice Harris. Rules of the bout with our unofficial ringside scorer, Harold Letterman.
The Oleg Maskaev Derrick Jefferson fight is scheduled for 10 rounds using the unified rules of the Association of Boxing Commissions, and Commissioner Larry Hazard's 10-point majority scoring system. There is no standing 8 count, no 3 knockdown rule. Only the referee can stop the fight, and you cannot be saved by the bell at any round, including the 10th and final round. Jim.
All right, Harold. Derrick Jefferson will be coming to the ring first. Emmanuel, Derrick Jefferson says he has to be able to resist the East Detroit in him. What's the East Detroit in him?
Well, the east side of Detroit is a neighborhood where Thomas Hearns come from, most of the drunk boxers, and Derrick Jefferson. And in that neighborhood, it's more honor to lose in a courageous manner like he lost his last fight than to win in a manner that's cowardly, so to say. So even though he's planning on slowing down, pacing himself, I still think the urge to be explosive is still going to dominate.
Larry, give us a closer look at Derrick Jefferson.
Here he is. He turned pro at just 27, which is even late for late professionals in the heavyweight division. His trainer, Bill Miller, says he's been trying to throw too many home runs, got to mix in a few singles and doubles and not wear himself out. There's less more. He's lost about 8 pounds since his last fight, mainly by a different training method than he's used before, at the suggestion of George Foreman, of fighting slower, longer training sessions, and also by changing his diet.
And here is the Russian from Staten Island, born of Russian parents in Kazakhstan, later moved to Uzbekistan when he served in the Soviet Army. And like most Eastern European fighters, he had a long amateur career.
And he made the commitment to try to be the best fighter he could be by moving his entire family to America, because he says he understood that was the only way for a heavyweight to become everything he could be.
Here's a closer look at Oleg Maskaev.
He was a father at the age of 15. He was in the Russian Army as a lieutenant for 7 years. He fought as an amateur during much of that time. One of his victims, Vitaly Klitschko, whom he knocked out in the very first round.
While you're watching the fight, log on to hbo.com/boxing, where you'll be able to score each round, spend some time chatting with former heavyweight Michael Bent, and answer the question, who can beat Lennox Lewis? We list some choices for you. David Tua, Mike Tyson, Vladimir Klitschko, that's the younger one, and Roy Jones. Or you can vote none of the above, or you can write in somebody else that you think can beat Lennox Lewis, if you have a choice. And now let's go to ring announcer Michael Buffer for the official introductions.
Ladies and gentlemen, from Bally's Park Place Casino Resort, here on the boardwalk in Atlantic City, New Jersey, Cedric Kushner Promotions, in association with your undisputed, undefeated king of beers, Budweiser, proud to be your bud, present the main event of the evening, 10 rounds of boxing in the heavyweight division. Sanctioned by the New Jersey State Athletic Control Board, Boxing Commissioner Larry Hazard Sr. The 3 judges assigned to score this bout will be Robert Grasso, Barbara Perez, and John Stewart. And when the bell rings, your referee in charge of the action, Michael Ortega. And now from Bally's Park Place of Atlantic City, for HBO's Boxing After Dark, ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble! Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing black and standing tall at 6 feet 5 inches. He weighs 235 pounds. His professional record, 22 victories, including 18 knockouts with only 1 defeat. Ladies and gentlemen, from the Motor City, Detroit, Michigan, here is Derrick, call it like you see it, Jefferson. And his opponent across the ring, fighting out of the red corner, wearing green trimmed with gold. He stands 6 feet 3 and weighs 230 pounds. His professional record, 19 victories with 14 knockouts and only 2 losses. Ladies and gentlemen, from Moscow, Russia, presenting Oleg Maskaev.
Gentlemen, we went over the rules. I want a good, clean fight. Protect yourselves at all times. Obey my commands at all times. Best of luck to both of you. Touch them up.
Jefferson effectively changed pace. His co-trainer Bill Miller says, we'll see when the bell rings and the punches fly.
Well, I don't think he can change with so much, but I do think he's going to slow down, because his image is strictly that of a fighter who fights too fast, and more so than even being depicted or classified as a boxer or a puncher. When everyone mentions Derrick Jefferson, oh, that's the guy that throws so many punches that he knocks himself out or almost runs out of gas.
Crowd pleaser, though. His other
yes.
image is that he threw the biggest punch in the division in several years with that left hook that knocked out Maurice Harris last year.
Well, I think also the fact that he has so much confidence in himself. You know, he's really never lost an amateur fight, and professionally, really, in his mind, never lost a professional fight. He knocked himself out, so to say. And I think that's a big factor. He probably has a lot of confidence, and he's been fairly active, which is unusual for most of the heavyweights today. It's really strange that the champion, Lennox Lewis, has been more accurate than most of the contenders. And he's one of the few that's been busy.
Right hand by Maskaev. Jefferson goes down. Perfect counter in close.
Short right hand.
5, 6.
Jefferson came out working with the jab. He's got a longer, quicker left hand. Maskaev timed him perfectly with the right.
And he still doesn't have his
He
legs.
still doesn't have his legs under him. That's a problem. I don't know if that's the leg that was hurt, but he doesn't have the experience, I don't think, to hold on.
Maskaev tries the uppercut. Jefferson's trying to fight his way out of this.
Well, the bell rang and the fists are flying.
Well, it seems like he has more of a problem with his leg. I don't know if it's a nerve that was hurt.
His left leg appears stiff, whether there's a nerve in there from that punch or something happened in the way he fell. It's hard to say. As you can see in close, he's trying to swing it loose, almost like it's asleep.
Yeah, he's trying to get his nerves back in it. I don't think it's so much he's hurt as much as his legs is started.
Well, the left leg is the one that was shattered by a bullet.
That's correct.
Years ago, when he had an incident in a convenience store in Detroit, there's a guy serving hard time for attempted murder for having shot Derrick Jefferson and his brother in an argument over a quarter for candy years ago, and he's still bothered by the left foot and in serious trouble here. Maskaev just taking his time and trying to land another right hand. Just missed with a big one that might have put the thing to rest.
Well, if he can't get his legs or whatever's wrong with his legs back together, the fight's not going to be able to go its limit.
Limit? I'm thinking another round.
It's amazing that he's able to finish up this round, it seems.
Hard left hook by Jefferson. He's showing some courage in there.
Step back, step back, step back.
It's almost like he's shuffling with the left leg.
But even among all that, he's still punching with a lot of power.
I wonder if he twisted it when he went down or...
Break, break. Step back, step back.
He is clearly hobbled on the left leg. Jefferson trying to fight on one leg, and he lands a good right hand after the bell, after Maskaev was able to pull his right hand.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see what happens between rounds.
I don't know if this fight can go on.
That's the doctor.
Where's it hurting? I'm not going to stop it. I just want to know. Where's hurting? You're limping. Why are you limping? Huh? Why are you limping?
I'm straight. Huh?
You're at a disadvantage if you can't walk. All right? There'll be other fights. If you can't walk,
what he should do is get off,
if he's limping,
off the
okay?
and try to
It puts
move
him at a
around and get some kind of
disadvantage.
feeling back in the leg, if that's possible.
You hear me? Huh? We don't want to stop this fight. We got to do the fight now. All right. Keep your hands up. Got hit with the right hand because your hands were up.
There doesn't appear to be anything that's broken, but there obviously is something strained, and he rolled over on his left leg, and perhaps it's a knee or an ankle.
Yeah, he fell awkwardly on the left leg and then rolled over. You heard the discussion with Dr. Dominic Coletta. You can see that Jefferson wants to keep going.
Break, let him out, break, break. Listen up, okay, second time. Step back, get in the neutral corner, get in the neutral corner. That's the second time you hit on the break, okay? Listen up, all right?
Young referee Michael Ortega with the warning to Jefferson about hitting on the break. Hard right hand again by Maskaev. And Jefferson up in a hurry. He's obviously angry about this.
5, 6, 7. Hey, come here, walk to me, walk to me. You all right?
Both times, Jefferson was coming with a left hook. Maskaev stepped in and hit him with the right.
Well, it ain't going to go 12. So Derrick Jefferson's going to let it all hang out and see if he can score a miracle knockout that'll bail him out of these circumstances.
It's definitely going to have to be a miracle, but he does have the punching power to do that. The thing that's interesting, I don't think the leg is going to get much better as the fight goes on.
No, but he's starting to put weight on it anyway.
No,
Now he's going to have to put weight on the front foot to throw the left hook.
But you're still dealing with heavyweights. But the short right hand of Maskaev seems to be with or without the leg. He's shooting a short right hand, and it seemingly is landing because Jefferson is shooting a longer punch.
Well, and as Rockman can attest, Maskaev can crack with the right hand.
He punches very good with that little short right hand, and I think that's a factor, and I can't take away from his short punching more so than just concentrating on the leg.
Maskaev knocked out Rockman with a right hand that was broken and required surgery and 3 pins after the fight. He had broken it in the 4th round, knocked out Rockman in the 8th. Ortega warning now about holding behind the head. This is a gutty showing by Derrick Jefferson. He's been down twice. He obviously hurt his left leg on the first knockdown, but he's trying to hang in there and score a miracle knockout while he waits to see if Maskaev can knock him out with the right hand.
Okay, basically right now, Jefferson is doing very well, the best that he can, but the short right hand of Maskaev still seems to be a big factor because he's shooting it much shorter than Jefferson. And in this case here, Jefferson seems to have regained some of his rhythm or coordination in his leg, but I don't think it's going to be enough to make it through the fight. I think eventually they're going to have to stop the fight between rounds probably, because all he's going to do is get caught with a good punch sooner or later, just a matter of time. Maskaev is too good of a fighter to be fighting at with a handicap, particularly one of that magnitude.
That's right. It's like hunting a bear with one hand.
Big right hand by Jefferson, and he makes it through the 2nd round.
Real. Huh? You gonna get back in this fight fucking leg, huh?
It's your knee, isn't it?
Read this one, jab the way in. You can't just walk in.
Is it your knee, Derrick?
No.
Is it your knee that's bothering you?
No. Keep your hands up. You want to get back in the fight, you got to do something to stop this man. Yeah? All right. Right. Behind now.
Once again, the right hand inside. Maskaev has a way of turning away inside to give himself leverage. Emmanuel.
Yes, he does. He has a tremendous amount of power that he gathers from short punches, and I think that's probably still from his experience in the amateur. So he's fighting one of the better fights that I've done fight tonight.
That's a great observation, Larry. You saw the way Maskaev leaned back from the waist to give himself room to generate power with the right hand.
Well, we've called Jefferson the Gaddy of the heavyweight division, and he's going to really have to pull off a Gaddy here to survive or hope to win.
And it's strange. Maskaev is basically concentrating on the short 1-2, just as I had expected. And Jefferson is fighting as good a fight as he can, but
big right hand by Jefferson. Maskaev momentarily wobbled here. Jefferson looking to pour it on.
I've never been to East Detroit, Manuel, but I feel like I am now.
Well, this is typical of people that come from the east side of Detroit. You know, they will fight until there's nothing left. In this case, it's the perfect situation that he's in.
Step back.
But I tell you what, Jefferson is not going down without a good fight.
Boy, that's for sure.
But I tell you what, it's still hard to get away from this short right hand on Maskaev, and he's concentrating on it. He's not just throwing it reckless. He's really concentrating and picking his punches very carefully.
Step back. Step back.
Now, Ortega has warned Jefferson twice for hitting on the break. That time he let him get away with it.
And I think all of the warnings, even if they took the round away from him, that's the short punches again.
Maskaev hurts Jefferson this time with a left hook. Jefferson trying to bomb him out with a right hand.
Jefferson's punches are just wider and Maskaev is shorter. So when they get in a certain area, Maskaev has definitely the advantage. Jefferson has an advantage when they're at a certain zone, but when they get close, Maskaev is much more effective with short punches.
Well, Jefferson's going to have to do it with the right hand because the left leg is bothering him so badly. There's no way he'll be able to put the normal power on the left hook.
No,
he can't put weight on his front foot.
He's going to have to try to move in close and land a short right hand if he can himself. Other than that, the fight's not going to go much longer.
You know, I've never seen anything like this, Emmanuel. You've been around for 100 years also. I've never seen a fighter fighting on a leg and a half.
Well, Hill McKenty once defended his world championship, and he had cramps in his right leg, I think, and he went 3 rounds basically by laying on the ropes for the most part. But in this case here, Jefferson hasn't had that much experience, and I don't think he can do some of those things that more experienced fighters could do. Considering everything, it's very interesting.
Break out, step back, step back, step back.
Well, certainly it doesn't appear possible Jefferson could win a decision this way. He's got to try to knock Maskaev out, and that's what he's trying to do, is set up one big right-hand shot. It's a hope at best.
Well, Maskaev seems to see the punches coming also. Whenever Jefferson does punch, he seems to see the punches because they're long punches. Jefferson, based on the leg situation, he has to like stumble in when he throws a punch. He cannot step in and shoot crisp punches.
He threw a left hook.
I got news for you. I gave that round to Jefferson.
Sit back. Sorry, bub, but I could see it better. Okay, come here.
This guy can't take it in the body. Don't stand up so tall. Bend down a little bit and work both hands to the body, then come to the head. Okay? Got me?
Deep breath.
Stay still.
All right, there's a right hand by Jefferson. Another one driving him back. Later in the round, Maskaev had his way on the inside, but this is certainly a courageous performance by Derrick Jefferson. And if anyone ever had an excuse should he lose, he's got one.
The last time I saw something this courageous in the ring, Rafael Ruelas fought with a broken arm for 2 rounds against Jeff Franklin several years ago. One of the most difficult things we ever watched, Larry.
Was it Rafael? It was his brother, I thought.
Oh, it's Gabe. That's right. It was Gabe. Yeah, it was Gabe.
Work out, let's go.
Harold, how do you have it scored?
Okay, Jim. 29-26, 2 rounds to 1. Oleg Maskaev. And I tell you, Jim, in a 10-round fight, it's not going to be easy for Jefferson to catch up. Certainly, you got to give Maskaev an extra point in rounds 1 and 2 for the knockdowns.
Big left hook for Jefferson as Maskaev came in.
Jefferson is fighting the best that he can, but I don't see he can go much longer with this condition right here. Not with a quality fighter such as Maskaev.
Step back clean.
Because even when he misses a punch, it seems to hurt him as much as more so, because he's losing his balance, and every time he loses his balance, it hurts his leg even more.
Jefferson missed with an uppercut. Maskaev setting up a straight right hand. Big right from underneath by Jefferson. And a left and a right.
Break. Step back, step back, step back, step back.
Maskaev hadn't really had time to follow Bob Jackson's instruction about going to the body. They'd been too busy trading shots upstairs. 2 more right hands for Maskaev. And Jefferson comes back with a left hook.
Good break. Step back.
Considering everything, this is still a very interesting fight. Jefferson, in addition to having a leg problem, he's in with a guy who's hitting him with solid punches, and he's still fighting back, basically off of one leg.
It's still competitive.
Very competitive, Jim.
Break. Step back, step back, step back. Let him out, let him out, let him out. Step back, step back.
And if you notice between rounds, when the doctors ask him what is the exact problem, he never will even admit to the need.
And Michael Ortega is going to stop the fight as the obvious look of pain on Derrick Jefferson's face betrays the difficulty he's experiencing, and so for safety's sake, Ortega brings an end to it, ruling that Jefferson must wait to fight again. I don't know if the camera angle showed you. I think I was watching it live in the ring. But as Jefferson rolled toward us along the ropes, he was grimacing in extreme pain. It looked like whatever had happened to the leg was getting worse.
It was getting worse. Just moving around, even missing a punch, moving back to the corner, everything was painful. And it's not going to get any better as the fight progresses.
Another win for Oleg Maskaev. Maskaev's only losses in his career were to Oliver McCall early. They put him in against McCall. in his seventh professional fight too soon, and he got caught by McCall in the first round. And then later, he went 11 rounds before losing on a knockout to David Tua in a fight in which Maskaev was giving as good as he was getting from Tua. So since then, he's done nothing but win, and he has the wins now over Rockman and Jefferson, which stamp him as a potential contender. How would Maskaev do against Lennox Lewis?
Maskaev is always going to be a threat for anyone because he's consistent, solid and consistent. I think that Lennox's physical size would probably be too much, but he still is a serious contender.
Down, you know, I just tried to stay in there. They decided they had enough. I was gonna get him eventually. You know, hey, I mean, I fight to the end. I still had something left.
Just well, we'll talk to you in a moment.
Courageous effort by Derrick Jefferson, and you heard him there saying, I was going to get him eventually. But instead, it becomes a victory for Maskaev, and let's go to Michael Buffer for the official particular.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention please. Because of a severe ankle sprain suffered by Derrick Jefferson, referee Michael Ortega had to step in and call a halt to this bout. Jefferson unable to continue. The winner by technical knockout, Oleg Maskaev. The official time, round number 4, 2 minutes, 10 seconds. Folks, a round of applause for Derrick Jefferson from Detroit, Michigan for
Story of the fight. In round 1, Oleg Maskaev landed a short right hand inside, and as Derrick Jefferson went down, he landed awkwardly on his left leg. From that point, Jefferson hopped and danced and one-legged his way around the ring as he courageously tried to stay in the fight, trading shots over the top with Maskaev the whole time. And in round 3, he was knocked down in round 1. He came out and fought and traded shots and was knocked down again in round 2.
3, 4.
A disgruntled Jefferson, and it was Maskaev's right hand against Jefferson's right hand from that point forward, as the big swinger from Detroit, hobbling around on one leg, tried to land a home run blow that would rescue the fight for him. But in the 4th, after Maskaev landed a couple more right hands, Jefferson grimaced like that as he moved along the ropes, and referee Michael Ortega, not wanting to see Jefferson take any unwarranted damage while obviously injured in the ring, intelligently stopped the fight. So Maskaev landed 78 out of 192 by CompuBox numbers. Jefferson 62 out of 154 for 40%. Not bad on one leg under the circumstances. The scores were 30-25, 29-25, and 30-26, all in favor of Maskaev at the time of the stoppage. And let's go up to Larry Merchant now with the winner.
Thank you, Jim. Congratulations, Oleg. Was it your plan in this fight to throw your right hand after he threw that big left hook? Because you did it over and over and over.
First of all, I want to say thanks to the Lord. Nobody got hurt. And yeah, and when he stepped in, he was wide open for my right hand, and I felt that. I felt that very good. And I throw my right hand, I got him.
All right, speaking of nobody getting hurt, he obviously was hurt in the first round when he got up and he was hobbling. Did you still feel he was dangerous? Was it difficult for you to figure out what to do about it?
I want to give him a credit now to Derrick. He got up and he continued fight, you know, very strong. And
was it a little confusing for you to figure out what to do against this hobbling opponent?
I knew that I was gonna get him sooner or later, but I was looking that way, you know, for the openings, and I want him throw a couple of left hooks and pay attention to my left hook, and then throw right hand again.
All right, now you've won 2 fights on stoppages in the last several months. What is your goal now? Who would you like to fight next?
I will fight, you know, I have a promoter, my manager Steve Trunov, and promoter Cedric Kushner. If they're gonna give me a big shot, I'll get that shot.
And if not?
If not, I'm gonna continue step by step, go up.
Thank you very much, Oleg. Congratulations again. Jim?
All right, thank you, Larry. How unusual is Oleg Maskaev among heavyweight boxers? Yesterday we asked him what he thought of Derrick Jefferson, expecting to hear something about Jefferson's jab or his right hand or something like that. Maskaev said, well, first of all, I want to say that he's a very nice guy and a true gentleman. So that's the kind of competitor Maskaev is. We'll be back to talk with Emmanuel about this fight in just a moment. Larry standing by with Derrick Jefferson.
All right, Jim. All right, Derrick, normally we would offer condolences when you lose a fight, but I guess there's some congratulations in there for going on beyond the call of duty. What happened when you went down on the first knockdown?
You know, he caught me with a nice right hand. I went down, I kind of twisted my ankle, but you know, I don't make no excuses. You know, I learned to fight, play, do whatever with one leg. Yeah, I twisted my ankle right there, and I would just have one leg, and I was just gonna beat him on that one leg. He was gonna give up if they would let the fight go on. I was determined to stay in there because he was getting tired. He was gonna mess up. You know, I wasn't going down. And my other leg, I was gonna fight to the end. You know, it's a tough break. He's a strong fighter.
Do you think that in some way he didn't know how to attack you because of the leg problem and that you were jumping right back in his face?
I was hitting him with some nice shots, and he was scared to come in there with a man. One man on one leg, any animal hurt is very dangerous. And I was very dangerous when I knew I had one leg. I was gonna catch him.
All right, so you weren't trying to pace yourself after that happened. You were you knew that you had to take him out.
Yeah, I was gonna go at him. I was gonna let everything spill out after that. You know, it wasn't no use me trying to pace myself with one leg. He would just basically had to dislocate my neck because I wasn't gonna quit. I was gonna get up, as you see. He went me some hell of a shots. Got right back up, went back, same Derrick Jefferson. You know, if they give me another shot, y'all gonna see the same heart, the same fighter. You know, it's kind of disappointing to go out on the sprained ankle, you know. I don't even know how you can get a sprained ankle boxing. Ain't that something?
Did you have sprained ankles as a basketball player?
All the time, but I was going up for a dunk. And you know, it's just got knocked down, but I'm gonna get back in the gym. If they HBO want to see me, they know they're gonna get a hell of a fight. They know I ain't staying on the canvas. I'm getting up with one leg, one arm. I'm gonna throw back from the old school. If they wouldn't have stopped it, I was gonna go the whole 10 with one leg. And they would have been like, you know what, that Derrick Jefferson, he's a hell of a guy.
You are a hell of a guy, Derrick. Jim?
He is a hell of a guy. But at 32, even though he probably won't lose much off tonight because anybody can see he was hurt, I wonder if there are too many technical holes in his game for him to ever reach the top level, Emmanuel.
Well, it was pretty obvious that he did make a lot of mistakes, but I really have to give a lot of credit tonight to Oleg Maskaev. As I looked at the replay, I could really see he had so much eye control and focus when he shot that first right hand. And without him hitting with the right hand, the ankle would have never been hurt. So we have to give a lot of credit to Oleg Maskaev because it was a beautiful right hand. And he showed a lot of experience, I thought, the way that he picked punches and he landed a right hand at such a distance where normally no one can hurt someone at that distance. I was very impressed with that.
It was great to have you with us to cover these heavyweights. Did you have fun?
Yeah, I had a lot of fun tonight.
Stick around. We're going to talk about another subject that's very much in your wheelhouse in just a moment. Well, Larry, we asked at the beginning of the evening if there was a potential future heavyweight champion in the bunch. Whose prospects improved most as the result of what happened here tonight?
Well, I think Maskaev, beyond a doubt. He showed that a long and good amateur career, plus how he's come along as a professional, means he's a formidable guy, and he takes it very, very seriously. And somewhere along the way, he should get a shot. And I don't know any of the guys short of Lennox Lewis who you would say this guy is going to beat Maskaev.
All right. Meanwhile, we asked you on our HBO boxing website to comment on the question, who among the heavyweights could beat Lennox Lewis? 9% of you answered that David Tua could beat him. Only 1% felt Vladimir Klitschko could beat Lewis. 21% felt that Roy Jones could beat Lennox Lewis. 39% of you believe that Mike Tyson could beat Lennox Lewis. And 27% said none of the above. Nobody in the listed group and nobody they could think of could beat Lennox Lewis. So clearly, the winner in public estimation of that question is Mike Tyson, with 39% of you responding on the website believing that Tyson could beat Lennox Lewis. Soon, apparently, in Scotland, we'll see if he can kilt Lou Savarese. Meanwhile, our next big assignment here will be on TVKO, Time Warner's pay-per-view arm. It's a battle for city bragging rights in Los Angeles. The first fight at the new Staples Center on the 17th of June. Let's take a look. Oscar De La Hoya, Shane Mosley for the welterweight championship of the world. It's East Los Angeles versus Pomona, California on June 17.
Fighting Sugar Shane Mosley is a very dangerous fight, but I'm willing to go out there and show the people what I'm made of.
It's something that the fans want to see, who is the best. You know, they talk a lot about me, you know, coming up, and they talk about a lot about Oscar's invincibility.
That invincibility took a hit last year against Felix Trinidad. So for the Golden Boy, this is the gamble to reclaim the image he lost.
I didn't ever visualize that I will have a loss under my record, but I would hate to have another one. In order to become a champion, you have to fight for that championship title inside the ring. And after the fight against Sugar Shane Mosley, I'll declare myself the world champion.
For Sugar Shane, it's his shot to grab superstar status as one of boxing's pound-for-pound best. He was the world's best lightweight. Can he now claim supremacy in another weight class?
Being one of the Sugar Ray Robinson, Sugar Ray Leonard, and now Sugar Shane Mosley, you know, I just think it's only right that I take my place in history like all the rest.
A lot of people praise him as a next Sugar Ray Robinson, or so. Some people do, and it'll be great for me to knock out the next Sugar Ray Robinson.
These two former amateur stars were both born and trained out of Los Angeles. So with their home city hosting this mega event, the stakes rise even higher for the two boyhood rivals. Pride and bragging rights on the line.
It's a huge event. It's a plus for me. It's an advantage for me because I've been in this situation before, and Shane Mosley hasn't.
I'm not the type that folds under pressure. I'm planning on keeping very relaxed and calm. Don't let the crowd sway one way or another. The crowd is not fighting. It's me and De La Hoya.
It's a career-defining moment because the fact that the event is so big. It can be bigger than any fight I've ever had, just the fact that it's being held here in Los Angeles.
There's a lot at stake because I want to go down in the history books as, you know, being the guy that everybody has up there at the top, and that's Oscar De La Hoya.
The collision course reaches this inevitable showdown June 17 at the Staples Center, live on TVKO pay-per-view from HBO. And we'll be there at ringside. Now, Emmanuel Stewart, you trained Oscar De La Hoya earlier in his career. You know him in the way that only a trainer can know a fighter. Let's talk about the psychology of fighting in Los Angeles. Those people who know Shane are going to root for Shane. But in Oscar's case, he arouses mixed feelings in Los Angeles. Do you think it's good for him to be staging a big fight there?
Yes, definitely, for many reasons. First of all, I commend Oscar for taking this fight. I think
it's a tough fight.
It's a tough fight, and I think he's trying to do what's best for boxing and for his career also in his position in history. But it's a very dangerous fight for him in a lot of ways because he's fighting in a city where both he and Mosley have been raised in. They both have been winners for the most part since they were little kids all of their lives. And in this particular fight, he's fighting a fighter who has had his whole career centered around fighting Oscar De La Hoya. That's all that Shane Mosley's whole career has been about. And he's finally getting this fight. So he's going to step up to the plate and fight a great fight. And Oscar is fighting to regain the credibility with the Mexican fans in California, in particular the way that they have been down on him after the Trinidad fight. So he's going to come out having a fight that he's got to do more than just depend on that power left hook, which he's been dependent on his last 2 or 3 fights. He's going to have to resort back to all of the talents that he's had, the right hand, the body punching, because in Shane Mosley, he's fighting a very fiercely fast-handed fighter who's coming right after him. And it's going to be a tough fight.
A young Meldrick Taylor against a not-too-old Julio Cesar Chavez comes to mind. Taylor's speed, Chavez's body punching. I see Oscar trying to land that left hook to the body in this fight.
Oh, he's going to have to do more than that. He's going to have to use both hands in this fight. Shane's going to test him.
All right, Larry Merchant, it's interesting because Emmanuel sees it as a dangerous fight. I've run into no shortage of fans on the street who think that Mosley is just too small to beat Oscar De La Hoya. What's your take on that?
Well, first I want to second the motion that Emmanuel put forward about congratulating Oscar De La Hoya for taking this fight. It's the right fight. It's a big fight. It's a great event in Los Angeles. This is a question of, can the fast-handed De La Hoya cope for the first time in his career with a fighter who may even have faster hands. It's also a question of whether Shane Mosley can cope with the biggest, strongest fighter he's ever fought. But something ought to be taken into account, which is that 8 years ago, when they were top amateurs, De La Hoya was a small lightweight, and Mosley was a junior welterweight, actually. If you look at the measurements of the two fighters, they're virtually identical in most categories, except for a couple of inches of height. So Mosley's not a little guy, but he's never faced somebody quite as formidable as Oscar De La Hoya.
They've known each other since they were little boys. And many of the crowd at ringside in the Staples Center will be among their friends, relatives, and acquaintances from all of their lives. So the pressures will be extraordinary and unique as Shane Mosley and Oscar De La Hoya get together on June 17 at the Staples Center in Los Angeles, live on TVKO pay-per-view. Check with your local cable operator. All right, we'll have a final word on boxing in just a moment. Let's look ahead to some upcoming programs here on HBO.